Well, thank you for joining me. We're in the book of Matthew, chapter 3, verse number 12. We're looking at the words of John as he's preparing the way for Jesus. And now he goes on to say his winnowing fork, verse number 12, is in his hand. His winnowing fork is in his hand. He will clear his threshing floor and gather his wheat into the barn, but the chaff he will burn with unquenchable fire. Now, these are words which can be difficult to understand in this day and time in which we're living. A winnowing fork. Now, we have to go back. This is taken from agriculture in that day and time, 2,000 years ago, during in the Middle East. When they would gather in their crops, and here it's wheat, they would reap the wheat and bind it up and bring it onto a threshing floor where you'd have like an oxen, everything's thrown in the ground. And this would be on a flat surface, hard surface, exposed to the wind. And you would bring all the wheat in, lie it on the floor, and then you would have an animal, the oxen marching all over it, and you would have like a threshing sledge, and it would kind of break up the wheat, whatever you brought in from the crops, and then as it tries to get all the leaves and everything else out, and even break off the covering, the shell of that of the grain. And then he's going to use a fork and he's going to throw it up into the air, and the wind is going to blow the chaff away, the covering, everything. And then the wheat, the actual grains, are gathered there at the bottom. This is symbolic of God's judgment. When he is like in the book of Psalm, the psalmist mentioned this, as things are being thrown up, his winnowing fork is in his hand, and he's going to gather the wheat. Is going to be gathered into his barn, symbolic of eternal rest in God. But the chaff, which is not good, he will burn with unquenchable fire. So even John is making reference to God's judgment, fire and eternal rest with God, presenting God to us as the one who will judge. I think one of the things that we know deep down in our hearts as human beings, and many people try to deny it, push it aside, and suppress it, repress it, and that's why there's so much anger sometimes today at religion and God, because we know that we have to stand before God on that day of judgment. And so John was telling the Sadducees and the Pharisees that God will judge. He's telling the religious elite, he's saying to them, his winnowing fork is in his hand. He's going to clear the threshing floor. He's going to gather his wheat, his people, into the barn. But the chaff is blown away, and that's going to be burnt up with unquenchable fire. I pray today that we are not resting in tradition, but we are repented, confessed, and we're following the Lord the way he wants us to follow him. God bless you.